Alright, all the Queen's Men's fans, in this particular video we're talking Season 1, Episode 8, The Ringmaster. Madam discovers that she is being investigated by the GBI, and her father's past lands on the doorstep of the club. Red ultimately reveals his true intentions, and Amp is the prime target. Now, really the biggest talking point of the episode is Lola's interrogation with Madam and Blue, pretty much breaking down who she was, and the Sharika identity was fake, and we got some Red and Amp stuff. So this particular episode I didn't find to be the most entertaining, so it probably, I don't think I'll hesitate giving this a 6 out of 10, just because it felt like this episode was a lot of exposition. As the season's wrapping up, remember there's only 10 episodes in the season, you can only do so much before the exposition comes on to really establish what's coming up in the next couple episodes, if not season 2, assuming the show is renewed. So before going further, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe to help me reach 200,000 subscribers. Hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. So with Lola upside down, the interrogation goes on. And really nothing really triggered it whatsoever. It wasn't like Madam, hit her with a bat or a crowbar like the Joker did to Jason Todd. Let's be honest here. I want to be completely transparent. That's why I don't really do criminal activity. Call me a snitch or whatever, but I'm not into dealing with pain or torture. Sorry to disappoint you if you knock me out, tie me up, and I wake up, abducted to get information. I'll be like, well, I'm flattered, but yeah, you won't even have to, poke me with a stick or threaten to skewer me or burn me or tickle me, which I'm not ticklish, or cut off any appendages or limbs, because if you want to know something, I will just tell you, just with the guarantee of being brought back to where you left me. Hell, I'll just forget this entire scenario happened, because guess what, if I snitch and then you find out about it, then obviously you will probably kill me. So for everybody's benefit, let me just tell you what I know, and we'll get on with it from there. Especially in this case, when you're dealing with somebody who's a agent of law enforcement. How do you deal with that? If you kill them, then they're obviously going to look at you harder. Think about it this way: if Lola is part of this GBI, she's an investigator, kind of like a rookie agent. Her male counterparts in the organization felt like she wasn't the right fit for this job, or she wasn't experienced enough, and well, they're absolutely right, because of the fact that she couldn't cut it. She's now caught and being interrogated. And hell, wasn't it a couple episodes ago that Blue and I think Midnight abducted her husband while she was sleeping, and he's somewhere naked being who knows what with another man? So yeah, this isn't a good look on her resume, if you ask me. But essentially, she's a GBI agent. And going back to what I said, if let's say Madam decides to kill her and then bury her in the backyard, just like Alan. Think of it this way: if a cop is undercover investigating someone specific, and then let's say they get killed, and of course their organization waits. So Lola hasn't contacted us, and she said she would contact us at this specific time. And then if a couple days go by, wouldn't you assume that the organization would put in another agent, or maybe 2 or 3 more, to look at you even harder? So yeah, it's kind of that's the thing about abducting a law enforcement officer. It's like you got to be very careful with how you handle this, because we learned that this investigation was because they wanted to know if there was any connection between Madam and the Black Rock Boys, which is kind of like the Malones of this series, basically a group of gangsters and thugs and whatnot. But it was one of the club patrons, I believe Miss Tandy, who was kind of like the link. It's like if Sharika could get through Miss Tandy, that could possibly expose any sort of organization affiliation between the Black Rock Boys and Madam. So it's kind of interesting how things turned out, because Madam pretty much pulls a Scooby-Doo and rips off the mask saying, haha, I'm the leader of the Black Rock Club. And not even Blue knew about this apparently. And she's like Madam's right hand, security detail. But yet Madam is the Mama Rose of this organization. So I was a bit stunned by this, due to the fact that there have been plenty of times within the first 7 episodes where, certain things that would have been easier to handle through the use of these thugs would have definitely been better than using some of your exotic dancers. Can you imagine being one of the dancers at the club and, you do your job and it's like, oh yeah, the man downstairs brought in a lot of dough for Madam. And then you get a phone call saying, hey, I need you to hide this dead body. Wait, what? It's like, get the Black Rock Boys to do that. But I digress. So we go over to Red and Bill, and they try to pay this girl like $200 to get Amp in a compromising situation between, getting drunk, have some weed and pulling out his thing, basically get him arrested. Because remember, the whole stick is pretty much setting up any patrons at the halfway house to get arrested for a crime as the fall guy for them to benefit from it. So this is all their elaborate scheme to rob the club, hence why it said Red ultimately reveals his true intentions and Amp is the prime target. So Amp actually gets beaten up over Sharon. I believe that's the name of the girl he was with before he went to jail. Drunk driving incident, and she got killed. And it looks like was it Terry, right? Terry was the brother, the one that had the gun to Amp's head in episode 1. This was pretty much revenge, like, this is what you did for my sister. And Dime actually comes to save him. So he makes it clear as well that, he isn't going to give it up to her for money at all. Like, it's the fact that Amp, he is an exotic dancer, but he's not about, just whipping out his thing to have sex with somebody for the sake of money. So it seems like him and Dime might have something special where it's like, we'll go out on a date, but not like, the first time we're going to have sex. So Amp, I guess, is trying to make a fresh start or something like that. But I'm not saying strippers or exotic dancers don't have morals or standards, but it's like, is it wrong to assume that somebody thinks you're going to give it up on the first date? I don't know. I'm not an exotic dancer. So there's a brief scene where Trouble, the only female stripper, wants the other strippers to treat her like everyone else, pretty much one of the guys, because remember, she's into women, and as a result is like, hey, we're all trying to make the women wet and make this money. So powwow, I guess. I don't know. Miss Tandy wants to rent all the strippers tomorrow for an event, which if you've watched episode 10, it's very convenient that there's a plot point where all the strippers are not at the club when a certain thing happens. So, Miss Tandy is a high roller. She's her and Miss Patty are both kind of, the high rollers of the club. But Miss Tandy's like, I want all the strippers, Babyface, Midnight, I want them all. All right, so, Madam actually tells Doc that the baby picture with Teresa's child, I believe Olivia, is like, yeah, that baby's yours. And I've never really it just seems like an odd thing to do, where a person just looks at a baby picture and just says, yeah, that's your baby. But at least in the haves and the have-nots, as much as I hated the fact that Benny's baby mama and baby appeared in the penultimate and the final episode only, at least in those situations, the baby was right there, and Candace was like, there's no better receipt of a child test than the child right in front of you, and he looks just like you, even though, the baby mama was like, yeah, we can do a DNA test to confirm, but yeah, this is your baby. So, from there, I'm just like, so are you going to take the pacifier and get the baby, the DNA test, or what? I mean, you would think Madam of all people would be willing to say, yeah, you know what, better yet, I will pay for the DNA test, because go back to episode 1. In order to save Doc's life from being killed by Alan. She literally killed her business partner to protect her basically one of her employees. So the fact that you would just look at a picture and say, yeah, that's baby's yours, pretty much putting him in a compromising position where a lot of money he makes would be going to this baby mama. Which you could argue, well, maybe the way Madam saw it is, if Doc has a baby, then maybe it means that Doc's going to work even harder to bring in even more money because he has a mouth to feed. But I don't really understand it. It's season 1, people. Some things just won't make sense. All right. So from there, Jay wants to file an human resources report after being drugged by Freedom, and Blue addresses this by having HR, aka the Muscle, beat the hell out of Freedom, and Jay is supposed to get in on it, but he doesn't want to beat him up over the fact that, he drugged him, and the fact that these men are not fully dressed at all. So that made it a scene I did not care to watch. So we go over to Tina, who's been apparently missing Doc, and in her feelings about it, and she wants to see Doc again because if I remember correctly, the last time they were on the phone together, that's when the detective was on the other end on speaker trying to get Doc to incriminate himself by saying, "Wait, Madam killed my husband, right?" And then he didn't answer. So Madam, remember, I think it was in episode 7, made it clear that she wanted Doc to find and take care of Tina. So this could be the opportunity to do so. And Ant passes the drug tests, he took, because after getting out of jail, he wants to start a new life. And obviously, after the drunk driving situation that ended with Sharon's life being taken, he wanted to make sure he stayed sober, which is, obviously why Red and Bill's plan of the girl with the, $200 in drinks and weed wouldn't work on him. And one of the other things to talk about is Lola mentions a parent informant, basically a mole within the club that could be the reason some information is getting leaked out. It kind of reminds me of The Oval, where, wait, who's the person in the White House that's telling Victoria's father about everything that's going on? So really, those are like the highlights of the Ringmaster. Like I said, this episode was really just a lot of exposition, to build up suspense and tension for the next 2 episodes, as well as a season 2 if it does happen. But let me know if you really maybe you thought differently about the episode than I do. I didn't hate it, but it really wasn't one of my favorites of the season. But with that being said, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.